What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. It's 1TS Daily right here at One True Sport. I'm your host, Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media. Over there is Ryan Droste from Top Rope Nation. Ryan, what's going on, man? Happy Friday.
Heck yeah, man. I'm feeling good. I got my caramel macchiato.
Woo.
I got a week of pro wrestling to talk about with Zack Heydorn. What could be better?
Hey, man, it's a good Friday here, and a busy one, too. Lots to discuss in the wrestling space heading into the weekend. So we definitely have a busy show, even though shockingly there's no like PLE to review, there's no pay-per-view, like none of that is happening. So it feels like a weird weekend too, coming off of Forbidden Door, Money in the Bank, Heat Wave. It's like a rare weekend off from the big shows.
Been a lot of wrestling lately. A lot of wrestling,
dude. Insane. Well, we're gonna talk about it all here, guys. Thanks for joining. If you're on YouTube here, appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure that you do. You're gonna want to catch all the different content that hits the channel on a day-to-day basis here with hosts like us, some other really great hosts, and some of the biggest pro wrestling legends that there is. So make sure that you subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when a new piece of content drops. And if you can, like the video, like this video, like the others. It really helps the channel grow more than you think it does. I promise you that. So please hit that like button. It helps us out a bunch. If you are interested in contributing to the show today, our live chat is open. We got Eddie in there already. What's going on, Eddie? Eddie says, "Morning, Zach and Ryan." Morning, dude. Do you have a caramel macchiato too, my friend? I've got some tea here. I'm drinking. I'm pulling out the
nice.
Going a little softer this morning.
See, I went
thanks,
the
Eddie,
opposite
for
way.
being
I got an extra shot in here, Zach. Triple shot.
Man, you are not messing around.
I'm gonna be like shaking over here like this by the end of the show.
What are you gonna be up until you're gonna be up till 2 a.m, man? Because
you know what is so weird? Caffeine does not have much effect on me. I could drink a caramel macchiato at 8 o'clock and be in bed by 9:30.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I would be
bad. I think I've built up a tolerance.
Well, you're a high school teacher, right? So
yeah,
you I mean, you need it. You need it. I don't know how you deal with those crazy kids
without this stuff, man. Chug it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yes, join on in. We got a lot of topics we're going to discuss. We'd love your contributions in the live chat. If you're able to make a super chat contribution, that is open as well, and we'll read any and all super chat questions and comments, no matter what it is. We'll put it up there, and we appreciate any contribution you can make. Helps the show, helps One True Sport in a very big way. So thank you. Thanks so much in advance for that. While you're here, you can join and become a One True Sport member. It's the button right there. You can hit join, and you can hear all about what we offer from a membership perspective. It's all there for you. Lots of different membership tiers and different options to get you in at any price point that makes sense for you. So check it out. I think you'll be really happy that you did. All right. Ryan, let's start off previewing Smackdown, because it's a big Smackdown episode tonight, coming out of Money in the Bank. What they're advertising is not a lot. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews against Angel and Berto, Michin against Nia Jax, and then an appearance from Tiffany Stratton, who won the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match on Saturday night. We'll get to Bloodline in a second, but let's talk Tiffany Stratton as holder of the Money in the Bank. This to me is like the perfect gimmick for her to have at this point. Like, she's a heel. She's kind of young and up and coming. Part of the gimmick that she has is just being obnoxious with Tiffy time. I'm sure we're going to see the Money in the Bank briefcase decked out in Tiffany Stratton stuff. And, she's clearly somebody that WWE wants to get behind, maybe not right now, today, but in the future. And that's kind of what the Money in the Bank briefcase is for. So if there was ever a time to put something like this on a talent, I think this is the right call. I expect a long kind of run with the briefcase before she turns it in and cashes it in. But I think they like that gimmick and Tiffany Stratton as an act, like they're like made for each other in my eyes.
Oh, 100%. I would be stunned if she doesn't win the women's title, using the Money in the Bank. I mean, she was destined to be women's champion regardless. This will just make it easier to get there sooner. But yeah, I mean, I guess the draw tonight is to see how she has decked out the briefcase in pink and whatever else she puts on it, as she teased before. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we talked about this on the show the other day. She is to a T what WWE looks for in a women's star. I mean, she's got the real athletic background. She has a great look. The crowd loves her. I mean, her debuting around the same time as the Barbie movie coming out was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, my girls, when they watch WWE with me, they love Tiffany Stratton. My second oldest, who I hear screaming and hollering upstairs. So I apologize if it sounds like there's a Royal Rumble happening upstairs in my house right now. But she is a huge Tiffany Stratton fan. I mean, she is screaming Tiffy time all the time. And I mean, she doesn't really know the ins and outs of pro wrestling. It's just about the look. And in WWE, that is what it comes down to. And so, yeah, I mean, she's going to be women's champion, no question about it. She was a home run pick to win. I think her winning Money in the Bank was probably the biggest lock on the show last weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see her as more of a, like, is her ceiling as a babyface in WWE because of like the reaction that your girls have to her, like being like the root of who she can appeal to, or is it the more, arrogant, cocky, pain in the butt, obnoxious Tiffany Stratton that we see today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I personally feel like a heel, like heel work for her is better, and that she can really get people to probably hate her as like the mean girl kind of thing.
Yeah.
My girls liking her is pretty superficial, but I do think that she can get those kids to turn on her pretty easily. Case in point, on the other show, my daughters were big into Mercedes because they liked her as Sasha, but my daughters also really like Britt Baker. And the minute Britt Baker came back, my oldest daughter was like, I don't like Mercedes anymore. Because she was mean to Britt Baker. I mean, like, yeah, those kids that would cheer Tiffany because of the look, you can turn them pretty easily. And I think that, like, the adult crowd, Tiffany is one of those people where they would like to boo her, I think. So I think the ceiling's probably higher on the heel side for her long term.
I agree. I think, she'll have her moments, and it seems like international crowds really are drawn to her, like with the reaction she got in Perth, same thing in Glasgow, like, the strong reactions. But, again, I think that's kind of a symptom of like just seeing her for the first time, and maybe her star power on display, not necessarily like, oh, we're just so invested in her as this babyface character. Yeah. I just don't think she fits like that. But man, she's athletic. She's come a long way in the ring. Like, man, when you think about where she started and just how far she's come now, that she can have good matches just with anybody, and she's still very new, and so I think she's got a whole second and third gear to get to, perhaps, from an in-ring perspective. So yeah, so this is a smart call. I'm interested to see what she says tonight on the show. I think we'll probably get like, well, we'll ask you, like, what do you expect her to like break any news here, or is it just kind of paint by numbers? I'm Tiffany Stratton, and I'm gonna hold this briefcase, and I'm the future women's world champion. Tiffy time.
Yeah, pretty much that. I think it'll be pretty cookie cutter, showing off the briefcase and whatever they've done to dress it up. And, she'll hint at what she's going to do in the future. But I think she's going to have the briefcase as a prop for quite some time.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to cash in too soon. I think they'll let her carry it around as a tease for a while.
I think so too. They need to sell those Tiffy time Money in the Bank briefcases.
Exactly. Oh, that's a perfect point. I mean,
gotta make that merch money, man.
People will buy it 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely. Heading to the chat here, Eddie says Tiffany can work either way. Yeah, I think she can, definitely. I think she definitely can. And Carl, thanks for joining us, Carl. Good to hear from you, man. He says, I think her best role creatively would be as a heel, but I could see her having a well-received run as a face with the WWE audience. Yeah, like Carl, I think you're right on that. I think she needs like the heel run first. I think she's got to like kind of like endear herself to fans with like a good strong heel run, and then you can make the turn. I think if she was like this like white meat babyface right now, there's no way it would get over. I think she needs to have this happen to her first, and so I think WWE is smart to smart to go down that road with her. And clearly they recognize that. This is an interesting question that Eddie poses. If I ran a wrestling promotion, Tiffany would be the first female wrestler I would want on my roster.
Wow. That's high praise.
Wow, that's a pick right there. What, Ryan? I mean, there's a lot of like made talent out there, Eddie. So I think that's an interesting pick. Ryan, where would she be on your list? And what would be your number one? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Ooh, man. She would be in my top 10 for sure. There's so many great women's wrestlers doing great stuff right now. If you just look across the board, I would have Bianca really, really high. Bianca Belair would be very high on my list. She might be my number one overall. What about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. I mean, Rhea would be my number one.
Yeah, Rhea too. Yeah.
Yeah, Rhea, Bianca. I don't know, like, I mean, Mercedes would still be in the conversation just because she's just such a good worker. Character is a mess, but she's such a good worker. I was actually listening to Wade, and he was on the post show. He was posed a question: would you rather have Mercedes Moné or Mariah May? And I thought that was like an interesting question, because I think like at least my gut reaction would be, well, of course I'd rather have Mercedes Moné. Like, come on. But when you look at like the difference she's made from like a numbers perspective in AEW, like it's almost non-existent. Like you can't really tell from a ratings perspective, ratings only, not counting merch and everything else. Like there hasn't been this like huge jolt. And Mariah May is fresh and young and like, so I still think I would take Mercedes just because you know what you're getting there. But it's crazy that that's like a conversation that you can have.
I mean, from our discussion yesterday, I'm a huge fan of Mariah May and have been pumping her on Top Rope Nation as a top star for the future for a long time. And she would be in my top 5, Mariah May. And honestly, to that question, if you posed it as, where AEW is right now, and you said, I have to cut one of these two, it's got to be Mariah May or it's got to be Mercedes. One of them has to get cut. I would choose to cut Mercedes. No question about it. And I would keep Mariah May as based on where they're at right now. And after seeing how that angle played out on Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's interesting, right? Like that, I mean, Mariah, that means May has come a long way. And to take this back to Tiffany, I don't think Tiffany is just at that point yet. Like, I don't think she's at a Mariah May level. So she falls out of the top 5 for me because of that. But just like Mariah May, I mean, you get experience in the ring and with big programs and you can grow pretty quick. I mean, Mariah May, like, she wasn't this good when she first debuted in AEW. Like, she's organically gotten over. She's organically gotten better. And that's on the table for Tiffany. I think you're seeing that too in a totally different environment, with WWE instead of AEW, but it's happening. And if we have this exact conversation in 6 months, we could be talking about Tiffany in like a totally, totally different way. I think that's worth noting.
Absolutely.
All right. Good comments, chat. Wait to bring it. Let's move to the Bloodline, because that was a significant part of Money in the Bank as well. Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes in the main event of that show. With they had the triple threat, or the trios match: Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody against the Bloodline. There's certainly going to be follow up to that this week, or like there should be. Even though they're not outwardly promoting it. That's a big win for Solo to pin the world champion, in a main event on pay-per-view. I think it all but confirms that they're going to go ahead and they're going to move forward with Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. What are you expecting tonight in terms of follow-up, and how do you feel about Solo kind of being elevated significantly to what will likely be the main event of SummerSlam in front of 30,000 plus people in Cleveland?
All right, Zach. I've been very positive on pro wrestling this week on this show. I'm not buying Solo Sikoa at all right now.
Okay.
And I just am not a huge fan of how the bloodline story it's fine. They've tried to make him appear to be the leader of the group, but I just do not buy him as a relevant challenger to Cody Rhodes right now. Like maybe in a few months' time, I would. I do not think that this guy is ready in the second biggest show of the year to wrestle for the company's biggest title. And yeah, I know they have world titles, but look, the one Cody has is clearly the bigger one.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is the premier spot. And to me, if AEW booked this as the challenger based on what he has done on TV, they would be getting killed by the internet wrestling community because of how little Solo Sikoa has actually done in the ring. So if you go back and you look at his record over the last year, do you know how many singles wins Solo Sikoa has in the last 12 months? 3. He has
That's it?
3 singles wins. He beat
Wow.
Kevin Owens on the June 15th SmackDown. Then you have to go all the way back to November 4th when he beat John Cena at Crown Jewel. And then you can go back to September 1st when he beat AJ Styles on SmackDown. He has 3 singles wins in the last year. And he's done a lot of multi-man matches. This is a guy who they built up early when he first got there. They very much protected him and he wasn't losing at all, basically through WrestleMania 39. And I remember we did an episode of Top Rope Nation where we were predicting who was going to be the person to beat Roman Reigns. And I said at the time in my top 3 was Solo Sikoa because he wasn't losing. They were clearly building him up as a strong figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the time my co-host thought I was crazy, but I was like, look, I mean, this based on how they're booking him, I could see it, the turn down the line and he's not losing. And it would be like 2 guys who were essentially undefeated for a while. But then after WrestleMania 39, he was losing on TV all the time. And so if you want to make like a historical correlation on what has happened, and you're a wrestling historian, Zach, so you'll remember this, but I mean, it's very similar to how in July of 96, they had that 6-man international incident on In Your House, and Vader pinned Michaels. And then the next month, Vader challenged Shawn Michaels, but at SummerSlam. But the difference is Vader was way more protected, coming into WWF, what was it, late 95, early 96, attacking Gorilla Monsoon. He just felt like a bigger deal to me. I'm not saying that Solo can't get there, but based on what I've seen, he's just not ready. He doesn't warrant challenging for the world title. And frankly, when I watched the Bloodline at Money in the Bank, my inclination was that Jacob Fatu should be the leader of the Bloodline because he was way more impressive than anything Solo Sikoa did out there. I know he's the muscle and the enforcer, but he just jumps off the screen in a way that Solo doesn't. And so I just think it's pretty questionable. We talked about it on the show before, but I really thought they were going to lean into this Randy Orton stuff just because Randy's a star. Not that Randy Orton is like particularly exciting to me at this stage in his career, but he is a star that the crowd likes, and they could have done the turn with him and him wrestling Cody. I felt like based on WWE's booking, Star Power, SummerSlam, Stadium Show, I thought that was the route they were going to go down. And I don't know. I'm just not buying right now on Solo Sikoa. We'll see how it plays out on SmackDown tonight, but I'm not overly impressed at setting him up for this match.
Yeah. I agree on a lot of that. I mean, I think WWE, if you were talking to them right now, they'd go, well, no, we have jumped through the hoops to like make him this guy. He's leading this Bloodline faction. He's brought in like, all these other guys. He's that group, has defeated like the biggest stars in SmackDown, Owens and Randy and all that. They're menacing. Like we've positioned him as this. To me, I think they positioned him as this dangerous, unhinged, kind of like heel Game of Thrones king that doesn't really know how to be that person, but he's in that kind of leadership role, and it's dangerous because he doesn't know. He's destroyed Paul Heyman, now he's pinned Cody Rhodes. So I think that they would say to us, well, what more do you want? And
I'd say some wins.
Well, yeah, I think, and I think even if you take that wins out and just put a pin in that over here and go, yeah, I clearly could have used more wins. To me, it's more so just like the vibe of Solo too. Like there's just something about him that's too passive, like for the type of push that he's getting. And so even if you take the lack of wins out of it, he still like has all this strong booking behind him in terms of just how he's positioned and like the perception of him. They're trying to generate amongst fans. And I don't think he's fit that yet. I don't think he's like elevated his game to like the level of his push. And I think you can see right through it. And it's pronounced when Jacob Fatu is out there. Like if I'm Paul Levesque, I'm telling Jacob Fatu, like, hey man, you're going to have to tone it down a little bit because you're overshadowing our big guy. And like, obviously you don't ever want to say that to a talent, but in a faction, sometimes your role is to just be a background guy. Like sometimes your role is to just enhance what's going on. And Jacob Fatu in that match was just so good and like so crisp and so like the timing was there. The intensity was there. He like kind of alphaed Solo like right out of the match. So I would be telling him like, hey man, like we know you're good. Your time will come, but like we really need Solo to like look like a big star right now. And I just I think that is like the biggest issue with him, almost more so than the wins. Because I think if he had like a better presence, if he had like a better kind of feel for like the heel character that he was playing and like the role that he was in, I think that may offset the lack of W's where you could just say to yourself, but he's just this really awesome big star right now. And so, wins be damned. But like him not like living the role is kind of just it's making the lack of wins just stand out even more. Do you like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you think they're going with this because Roman is coming back and he's going to be like the big surprise at SummerSlam? Because that's like the only, like, because when you look at the two title matches, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa and Gunther against Damian Priest as your like SummerSlam championship matches, like that doesn't, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan is going to be on there, I'm sure, but like it doesn't like scream SummerSlam to me, like either one of those. But with the looming return of Roman Reigns, like obviously that will be huge. And so I wonder if that's kind of why you rush to this match, because you're going to have Roman show up and you're confident that he can save whatever the match is going to be. What do you think?
I think it has to be. I mean, it has to be. That said, I don't think that they have to do the match to get Roman on the show. They could have done this a number of different ways. They could have done a promo segment. They could have had Solo wrestle someone else and Roman comes out. Like it doesn't, if he's coming out to confront Solo in this Bloodline Civil War thing, it doesn't have to be in a title match. But I mean, to Eddie's point here in the chat, I wanted to put this up on the screen. That's true. I mean, we talked about this on the show. One of the problems with, and this is not Cody's fault, is this they just didn't line up any good heel challengers for him. Like he wins the title, and a lot of times in WWE history, when someone wins the title, you can foresee several feuds for them on the horizon. You can predict it. People write articles about it on wrestling sites and stuff. But for Cody, it was like, who does he work next? Because we know we got, the match with The Rock long-term, hopefully. We've got the rematch with Roman again. But outside of that, there was nothing set up for him. So, he worked the AJ match, which was fine, but it was just like another stopgap feud. It just feels like he's kind of treading water to get to the bigger matches, and they don't really have anything lined up, which is why, I was making the case a heel turn by Randy. Randy's
That would
always
have
better
been.
as a heel. He's a star. It's just another stopgap feud, just like AJ was, but it has a lot more star power to it. So I do think Solo, yeah, I mean, it is clearly to get to the Roman stuff. Like Carl mentioned this in the chat. Carl's a big supporter of Top Rope Nation. He was on our show on Sunday when we reviewed Money in the Bank, and he said this, the Solo push, and I said this on TRN on Sunday, is leading towards a Roman return, so I can only assume availability has led to Solo Cody instead of Solo Roman at SummerSlam. I mean, yeah, I think it's all tied together for sure.
Yeah. Roman's
I also
return.
agree with Eddie in the chat about Gunther on SmackDown. Gunther Cody is a
That
way better
always was weird to me.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Eddie. Yeah. It seemed like the move to make, especially because Gunther had pretty much wrestled everybody on Raw, I mean, imagine if you had if SummerSlam was Gunther against Cody and Damian Priest against Seth or something like that. I think both those matches are strong. I think they're stronger than what you currently have, even if you have, the Roman factor hovering around Solo. I think that still works better. Good call on that, Eddie. Yeah, I mean, so they got work to do, man. I mean, I think that's the where I'm at with it. And really, it's not even so much on so often. I feel like in past WWE conversations about storylines and characters and big matches, you can really look at the booking and go, oh man, they really messed that up. And they could have definitely given Solo more wins for sure. But I think it's really on Solo too right now to step up. He's got to find a way to present as more of a alpha relevant leader of that group, not just by name because they call him the tribal chief, but show a presence that aligns with them talking about him that way, because it kind of falls flat when you're this guy's this tribal chief, really? Really? When Roman Reigns was that, it's okay, yeah, you can definitely see that. And if they told me Jacob Fatu is the tribal chief, I'd be yeah, okay, that tracks. But Solo, yeah, there's something missing there. And so I think more than anything, these next few weeks in the lead up to SummerSlam, and Cody can help with this too, obviously, as they build the feud, it's got to be about, elevating Solo. And a lot of that I think is on his shoulders more than anything.
Let me ask you this, and let me preface this by saying I am not one of those people that's obsessed with size or anything like that, but that plays a part in the wrestling business. We know certain promoters of the past, it meant everything to them, how big in stature someone was. But do you think that the fact that Solo is pretty much smaller than all those Bloodline guys is hurting him? Do you think that is part of what we haven't specifically mentioned that, but when you see these guys out there and he's the guy who is the leader and now the head of the table in the group, but he is literally the smallest in stature of those guys. Does that make it hard to buy for you, or can you look past that?
No, I think that's part of it. I think if he, was able to elevate his game in other areas, it wouldn't matter. But it stands out now because he isn't. And that brings up another really good point too. So to answer your question, yes, I think it does matter, because I think presentation matters, and I think he lacks it. I think his entrance music is horrible. His entrance is terrible. I don't think his look is very good. The long kind of shorts that he has. I don't know. It just doesn't scream WrestleMania main event to me, or SummerSlam main event to me, just from a look perspective. And so. And then you add in the size to that, and you add in the fact that there's a little bit of a charisma vacuum there. He hasn't really found his niche. I think all that impacts how you look at him when he's on TV. And when you think about it too, he's best playing off of somebody else. He's best when he hasn't had to say much, and he can play off Roman with a look this way or a look that way, or how he handles his brothers, or the stuff with Paul Heyman. that angle with Heyman was great because Solo didn't have to really say anything, but I think his reactions were really good. And like, he was like, all right, you didn't acknowledge me. Like, I'm going to pummel you into the ground, man. And then he just had that visual was there. But it's all off of others. You know, when you ask him to go out there and cut a promo like by himself in the ring, that's where I think he's got a lot of room to grow. And so, you know, a lot of this is going to be on Cody to deliver here too, for him, for Solo.
Yeah. I just don't think anyone buys that Cody's in any danger wrestling him. And I think those are great points by you because, yeah, you think of the best stuff that Solo has done, and you're right, it's playing off of other people. It's the facial reactions to Roman when Roman was leading the group out there, wondering if he was going to turn on Roman or not when he didn't have to say anything. Yeah.
Yep.
So
he just could like kind of lean on. Yeah. We'll recap it all Monday, guys. Monday, we'll talk about SmackDown, and we'll recap SmackDown as well as all the other events of the weekend, though there's not many. So tune in Monday for analysis on SmackDown. I have some news and nuggets here that I definitely want to get to. Ronda Rousey back again, talking about her time in WWE, and is quoted as saying, let me get the quote here right, anyone is better to run WWE than Vince McMahon. So this is a long line of comments from her about her time in WWE in that second run. We haven't had a chance to talk much about this at all, but like, do these comments do anything for you? Like, it change, you know, your perception on Vince or on Ronda or anything of that nature? Or is this just Ronda being Ronda, like, and kind of a disgruntled ex-WWE employee talking about him? What do you make of it? Because I have a hard time like aligning it up, because it's like Vince brought you in. Like, he was the guy that was there when you were on top of the company and main eventing WrestleMania and getting paid very well. Like, that was Vince. Like, you didn't have any problem with it then. You had no problem with Vince when he was writing those checks. So I don't know. It's a little. This is not me defending Vince. It's just kind of like rolling my eyes a little bit at Ronda. What do you think?
I mean, I like the honesty. She certainly has more freedom to be honest than some people because she doesn't need any money. You know, I would think.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how she's managed her money, but I would think she doesn't need any money, and she doesn't ever have to go back there if she doesn't. So it's been refreshing to see someone with the name value that she does out there saying these things. You know, she made some comments in the past too with Bruce and Vince and their relationship and everything. I think that was the last time she was in the headlines. So, I mean, I think it helped when the Vince story broke that, you know, she was out there bashing him and saying like, yeah, you know, he was bad. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have expected her to say it when she was working there, just based on how everything works. But I mean, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say other than it's refreshing to see someone of that stature who has been so honest. But I think it is because she has the financial freedom that she does.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point. Good point. And that doesn't mean she shouldn't be honest. You know, some people just have different circumstances, and so if you can be it, be it. I mean, she is probably one of the biggest names to like talk like that about Vince, like a former star. Like, yeah. I mean, I think she's, you know, probably the biggest name to kind of like officially speak out against, like, in this type of way. You know, she didn't pull like a John Cena, that's for sure, and not answer about Vince.
You mean she didn't say, hey, by the way, you can just go dig up what I said in the past. I'm not going to answer that question.
Right. And it's like, okay, John, like, there wouldn't be much to dig up because you didn't really answer the question when you thought you answered the question. Sorry, buddy.
Right.
Oh, John. All right. Also, let me go to my other story here. Drew McIntyre has officially signed. Let me get to this spot here. I want to make sure I get the news right. I got to click over. Oh, come on, internet. You're not going to fail me now, are you? There we go. Drew McIntyre has signed with Paradigm, the talent agency Paradigm. I thought this was interesting because when I look at Drew McIntyre, I don't know that I see like major, huge crossover entertainment star, and I don't, and I'm obviously willing to have my mind changed on that, but like to me, I just see like this guy's a pro wrestler in WWE. That's what he is. That's what he's going to be. But I think it's notable that some of these top WWE talents, Bianca has signed with a talent agency, Tiffany Stratton has signed with a talent agency recently, and now Drew's there too. So, like, do you think he has like mainstream kind of Hollywood appeal at some point, or are you kind of where I'm at with this and just kind of like, all right, hopefully they can get him a good deal with WWE, but then that's really probably it.
I don't know that I want to say for sure, because I know, to draw a correlation, I know he's in a movie coming out alongside Dave Bautista here in the fall.
Really?
Yeah. And so I think that'll be his debut in acting. And, at the same time, I don't know that I would have said, if you had asked me this in 2004 or 5, I don't know that I would have thought Dave Bautista would be a big Hollywood star. I liked him and he had a charisma about him on TV, but I don't know that I would have guessed that he could translate to Hollywood like he has. I mean, Bautista is arguably the best wrestler turned actor when it comes to his acting ability. And so with Drew, he possibly could, I mean, just based on the segments he's done on TV and how entertaining he has been on live television on Raw. I mean, for me, he's probably more so than anyone carried that show over the last 2 years, and his segments are often the most entertaining. So I mean, I don't want to say that he couldn't. I don't know that he could. But I mean, obviously this is a good move for him, getting opportunities to make even more money outside of pro wrestling, and maybe get to a place in his career where he doesn't have to wrestle. With the Batista correlation too, I mean, that was also a guy who was older for a pro wrestler. Like when he was a star in wrestling, he was getting on the older side. So I probably definitely would not have guessed that was where, he was going to go at the time. And Drew, he's, I think, almost 40 right now. So, I'm 40, so it's not that old, guys.
I know, but I'm 39. I mean, you got to be careful how we talk about 40-year-olds.
But he's getting up there to that point where he definitely wants to look for some outside opportunities. So I think it's a fair move for him, and best of luck to him.
Yeah. I mean, the Dave Bautista comparison is like spot. It's like a really good one where you don't necessarily see it, but then you see him in a movie and you're like, wow, holy cow. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's Dave Bautista, the guy that would like yell a lot and like slam people into the mat. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Drew has a personality, like, and I think we've even seen more of a personality from him in WWE than we did with Batista at, back in the day when they were both kind of in the world title slot. Like, you've seen more from Drew. So yeah, like, I guess, I'll be pleasantly surprised, and good for him, and really good for the business too. Like, it is good that these guys can, and women can, go sign with a talent agency that's going to take care of them, and they're, with like their wrestling contracts and, whatever, licensing, outside deals. Like, that's a good thing. And, I think it's just such a far cry from like, 90s wrestling, when like, who knows how these deals are getting put together? Who knows how people are getting paid? Like, this is, it's it's official stuff. And I think that's good for the business.
Yeah.
And for the town. All right, you guys, there we go. We're going to wrap it up there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. It's been an awesome first week, Ryan. Working with you on the show, man. It's just awesome to like be able to kick stuff back and forth, and looking forward to next week already. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. These shows all pop up on YouTube. And all of our other One True Sport content is there too. Free, totally free. And not even the paid tier stuff. So just subscribe, like, and then head over to onetruesport.com and check out what our membership options are. You get this show, if you're a member, as an audio show. You want to take us on the road while you're going for a run or whatever, just become a member, and you can get the podcast version of this with a bunch of other perks. So make sure that that you guys are doing that. OneTrueSport.com. You can head over to Brass Ring Media on YouTube and check out what I do over there at my little shop with our team. Longer form stuff. We had a show last night on our late night show that we call Nocturnal Knockout. Robert talked all about 2014 WWE and made his case as to how and why that summer was so impactful for current day WWE. So it's a really fun show. Highly recommend you check it out. Totally free. You can subscribe on YouTube now, and hopefully you do. And Ryan, what's going on at Top Rope Nation? You guys were live last night too.
Yes, indeed. So Top Rope Nation, we had our live flagship show last night. It's available on YouTube. It's available wherever podcasts are found. We talked about the Mariah May, Tony Storm story quite a bit. We talked about Bryan Danielson and talked a little bit about what the fall could look like if he wins the world title. We looked at pros and cons of that situation. We got into some talk on Rhea Ripley's return, a little bit on NXT as well. Pretty wide-ranging show. I thought it was a really good one. Got some good feedback already on it. So yeah, check out the latest edition of Top Rope Nation. Yeah, we will be back next week, Zach. And I am already looking forward to Monday because this has been a blast this week. We've had some great discussion. I think it's flowed really nicely. We've had a great chat room here, getting interactive with us each and every day. Been a ton of fun, man. It's been great. And guys, we'll be back Monday. 11 Eastern, right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel with 1TS Daily. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you guys really soon. See ya.